Donald Trump has officially confirmed that he is going to do mass deportation with use of military assets. It is virtually impossible for him to conduct mass deportations with the current existing ICE structure. There's simply not enough people to be able to engage in this. And now he is talking about deploying the American military on U.S. soil. This is legitimately terrifying.
Elect Trump signaling a major move on immigration, responding true to a post on his social media platform, saying he will declare a national emergency and use military assets for a mass deportation program, a program he pledged to implement during his campaign, which focused in part on immigration and the southern border.
The Republican platform promises to launch the largest deportation operation in the history of our country.
And he's promised to use the military as enforcement in the past.
We must use any and all resources needed to stop the invasion, including moving thousands of troops currently stationed overseas.
Now, as Mr. Trump nods to his immigration plans and prepares for office, he's also facing a fight in Washington on some of the picks for his new administration.
A standing ovation.
After taking in a different kind of fight at a UFC match with allies this weekend. The spotlight now on his choice to lead the Pentagon. Former
Aiden Ross begging Trump to deport you as we speak. Yeah. I'm technically I am on the list, I think, of potential deportation nominees, but I'm on the tail end. For certain parts of my commentary, I'm on the first in line. But for other parts of my denaturalization process, I'm on the end of the line. Being openly anti-Israel puts me in the top slot, as Project 2025 has a specific branch dedicated to Project Esther, which dictates that they will go after anyone and everyone that criticizes Israel, hurts Israel's feelings, and hit him with RICO charges and actively work to deport them from the country. But on the other side, I'm on the tail end of the list. If I wasn't an outspoken critic of the nation state of Israel, I would be on the opposing side, or not opposing, but on the other side of the deportation process, where I'd be in the last part of the denaturalization. Now, people go, oh, well, this violates Posse Comitatus Act, federal law, signed into law on June 18th, 1878. By President Rutherford B. Hayes, that limits the powers of the federal government in the use of federal military personnel to enforce domestic policies within the United States. The problem is, what are you going to do? Take it up to the Supreme Court? What are the safeguards here? What are the safeguards that we currently have? There are no checks and balances against this. The Supreme Court is completely in the tank for Donald Trump. So much so that they've given Donald Trump additional protection from legal scrutiny. So everything that he says he's going to do, look forward to him actually successfully implementing. There is no reason to believe that Donald Trump this time around is not going to be able to follow through with a lot of these promises. Yes, it goes hand in hand with how he wants to use the Alien Enemies Act to turbocharge deportations. Trump is promising deportations under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Former President Donald Trump, whose bid for the White House has been dominated by his increasingly hardline anti-immigration rhetoric, is vowing to use an obscure centuries-old law to expedite the removal of undocumented immigrants from the United States. I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil, he said at a recent rally in California. Ironically enough, a lot of the states, if they refuse to collaborate with the federal government on this sort of thing, refuse to give the federal government information on where migrants are, for example, undocumented migrants are, will trigger a massive constitutional crisis, because then they would have to fight against each individual state. It would literally be civil war. Trump is promising that if reelected, he will use the act to initiate a federal effort called Operation Aurora, named after the Colorado town that he claims has been taken over by Venezuelan gangs, which residents and local officials dispute, to target undocumented migrant gang members for arrest and deportation. He has also suggested that the act could be used to end sanctuary cities, which limit cooperation with federal immigration authorities, telling Fox News' Harris Faulkner that we can do things in terms of moving people out. It's also name-checked in the Republican Party's official 2024 platform, Agenda 47, which says it will invoke the law to remove all known or suspected gang members, drug dealers, or cartel members in the United States, ending the scourge of illegal alien gang violence once and for all. Now, why is this important? Why are they using this kind of language? Before you say, oh, excuse me, I don't want violent drug dealers to operate inside of our national boundaries. They are engaging in a direct violation of the law. The local law enforcement authorities that do collaborate when it comes to, murders and drug dealing and federal offenses already do prosecute these people. And then the federal government does deport them after the criminal trial is over. Saying you're going to do this to suspected drug dealers opens up the boundaries of what the existing law is. Just so you understand, they're using MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, which is the new MS-13, the Venezuelan version, to say they are going to go after every single migrant. They are not going to go after criminals because the government, the local authorities, and the federal government already does go after criminals. Crimea River, you say? Oh my God. For a lot of people that have completely checked out, I think, of hoping that anything good will happen, they are just running on fucking fumes, okay? They're angry. They don't know what the fuck they're angry about. And they are specifically saying, no, it's good. Let's just punish those who are even less fortunate than we are. And then maybe I will feel better. You will not feel better. You will not feel better when this happens. You will actually suffer even more when this happens, especially when, if you are the most selfish person and don't give a fuck about the fact that this would mean that 1 in 15 families that are mixed status households would actually have an immediate family member forcibly ripped and removed from their immediate family members for no crime other than existing on U.S. soil and participating in the American economy. If you don't care about the inhumanity of that situation, you will care when your economy is imploding. It is ironic that so many people said they are voting for Donald Trump because of food prices, not realizing that undocumented migrants are responsible for damn near the entirety of America's agricultural production. This is precisely the reason why when Donald Trump uses the Bracero program or Operation, WB, won't say it, okay, that's what it was called, when he hailed that as a fantastic, thing to do that he was going to bring back in a big way, right, under the Eisenhower administration. The American government engaged in mass deportations of 1.2 million people of Mexican background, including but not limited to American citizens of Mexican descent, for the record. And in that process, Texas and many other places that relied on Mexican labor, farmhands, and the like were actually openly defending through violent means against the federal government their fellow laborers. Things will change very quickly when you start recognizing that this is going to genuinely destroy American agricultural production. Those agricultural production facilities took the risk of hiring illegal immigrants, knowing that they may get deported for violating the law due to illegally immigrating here. The production may get slashed, but that is the result of cheap corporate greed. Yeah, the problem is there is no way to fill this role. You understand that, right? The real solution is not to forcibly remove millions of people that are participating in the economy in very meaningful ways, in much more meaningful ways than you, I'm loco. Okay, the solution is to document these people and allow them to participate in even more meaningful ways in the American economy and allow them to actually demand fairer wages, for example. If the price of eggs are going to go up, if the price of avocado is going to go up, regardless, I would rather have it go up in a more ethical way, in a more sustainable way in the interim period than one that will completely destroy the American economy. If you voted for Donald Trump personally because you thought he was going to lower the egg prices, for example, you are in for a very hard, very shitty surprise when you realize that the price of eggs are going to shoot up to $20 when there's no one to, work in the poultry facilities. The only difference is absolutely zero people are so racist that they will forego their treats. Everything that Donald Trump has ironically advocated for is actually inflationary, even though he was seen as the solution to the inflation crisis that Americans were experiencing. Wage growth did not outpace the cost of goods going up. Tariffs, on the other hand, is inflationary. And so is mass deportation of 20 million migrants. Anyway, those were the old days when they had tough politicians build across borders. Think of that. 1798. Oh, it's a powerful act. You couldn't pass something like that today. Let's continue.
Fox News anchor Pete Hegseth. His attorney confirms to NBC News Hegseth paid a settlement to a woman last year after she previously accused him of sexual assault in 2017. But the attorney says Hegseth maintains his innocence and that the encounter was consensual.
Do you think that this matter could sink Pete Hegseth's confirmation?
It could. We'll figure out if he can get confirmed or not. And I do think that Pete's a good pick for this position.
Mr. Trump has told advisors he plans to stand by Hegseth after a recent conversation with his nominee, according to the New York Times, citing two people briefed on the discussion. Also facing new
Dude, the way I see this working, by the way, and there's a reason why like the price or the stock prices of private prisons shot up after the Trump victory, is the way I foresee this happening is private prison facilities are going to come back in a fucking massive way. They are going to build new private prison facilities, work camps, basically. And all of the migrants that they put into these work camps are going to have to work for free at gunpoint to engage in this agricultural production that they were already doing for pennies on the dollar. But this time they'll have to do it for free. This is my speculation, okay? My suspicion is we already have slavery in this country. It is constitutionally protected as a form of punishment, and we will utilize it. Slavery is illegal? No, it's not. Slavery is very much legal, please. The 13th Amendment that is supposed to abolish slavery actually still maintains slavery as a legal form of punishment. It is still abso-fucking-lutely legal. It's legal in virtually every state. California, as a matter of fact, just reconfirmed its legal status in a ballot measure. California voted to keep slavery as a legal form of punishment 2 fucking weeks ago.
Backlash, the president-elect's choice of now former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz to lead the Department of Justice, with multiple sources telling NBC News he faces a very different.
For the record, before people say, what are you saying about agricultural workforce? Okay. What do you mean about agricultural workforce? Immigrants in American farms. In 2019, more than half of all hired farm workers in the United States were immigrants, or roughly 450,000 workers. In many states known for their fresh produce, immigrant farm laborers make up large shares of miscellaneous agricultural workers. In the state of California, 79.3% of agricultural workers are foreign-born. They're either on a specific migrant worker visa, or they are undocumented workers. In Washington, it's 77%. In Oregon, it's 73%. In Florida, it's 70.9%. In Arizona, it's 69.8%. In North Carolina, it's 64.3%. The share of miscellaneous agricultural workers in crop production that are undocumented as of 2019 is 30.9%. If you forcibly removed even 31% of the entire labor force in the agricultural sector, what do you think that would do to prices? What do you think that would do to supply? What do you think that would do to the supply of readily available agricultural goods?
Difficult path to confirmation. Gaetz resigned his seat last week, ending a House Ethics Committee investigation into whether he engaged in sexual misconduct and illicit drug use, allegations he denies. While some in both parties want the committee to release its report, House Speaker Mike Johnson disagrees, saying Gaetz is now a private citizen.
I think that would be a Pandora's box.
Hallie, let's go back to this news that just broke overnight. President-elect Trump confirming that he wants to declare a national emergency, and then that would enable him to use the military. How might that work? How much would it cost?
Let me take the second part of your question first, Savannah. How much would it cost? The answer is a lot of money, but we can't get super specific because it's not clear how much. There's one estimate that suggests it could be something like $90 billion a year. That's from an immigration rights group, which also questions the impact to the economy more broadly, saying that the annual GDP could take a hit because of the removal of workers, especially in the construction and hospitality industries. But President-elect Trump and his allies have argued this issue is so important. It was so central to his campaign that it goes beyond cost. Mr. Trump, remember, Bloomberg told NBC News right after the election that there's no price tag on this because there's no choice other than to do it. He would need Congress to approve the money he needs. But remember, both the House and the Senate will be in Republican control next year. As for the practicalities, how does this actually work? Again, real question marks there. Mr. Trump was pressed repeatedly during his campaign for answers on the specifics, but that's still not clear. We are, of course, out to the Trump transition for any more details on the plan. Savannah?
All right. Hallie Jackson leading us off from Washington. Thank you.